Jack sat on his throne with a neutral expression, golden scepter in hand, and crown sitting crooked on his head, as he looked at the NPC before him. It had been 2 months since this adventure had been going on, and while usually him placed as the king of his own digital country, which basically functioned like any other video game, he would have enjoyed that. The problem was, it was also tiresome. Through interaction with the others, he had learned that every former human denizen of the digital circus had become their own king or queen of their respective kingdom. No one was given any instructions of what to do. At least until Kinger, of all people, accidentally declared war on Zubal's kingdom by pressing the wrong virtual floating button. The hot-headed Zubal, of course, didn't let this mistake just be a mistake, and so she used the armies she had amassed on his border secretly for weeks to immediately invade. It was then it became clear to everyone that the goal of this adventure wasn't just to be a good king or queen, no. It was to imprison everyone else. As once Zubal pushed Kinger into the dungeon of her capital, Kane's voice echoed far and wide to everybody to hear it. "Great job, Zubal! You got the first point! Now keep it!" It was the "now keep it" line that made everyone curious. This would mean that all they had to do was capture each other. But of course, the pride of Zubal, Jax, and strangely enough Ragatha of all people, was simply too strong. Or more, Ragatha just really got into the roleplay of this adventure. This left you, Queen Zipzoom, and Queen Pomni. The two of you wanted to remain neutral, especially since your respective kingdoms were located at the northeastern and southeastern borders of the continent the circus had generated for you to war over. Jax stared at his advisor NPC, a jester, for the chaos factor. It was the jester who ran the kingdom. Jax just had the final say on in everything. And the bunnyman sighed. He knew that Ragatha wanted to declare war on him, really bad, judging by their interactions, mostly based off old wounds. Or in other words, she was kinda sick of his pranks, and so a total victory over him in this Game of Thrones would be the perfect payback. Though Zubal was in the way. With Kinger's conquered territory, the simulation of the kingdoms, as unrealistic as it was, still was unnecessarily difficult enough that after conquering land it needed to be held, repaired, and controlled. And Ragatha would risk a war with Zubal if she now marched her armies through that specific territory. And if the Bunnyman and the Take-Apart Toy Woman teamed up on the doll, right now it seemed as if a standstill was achieved. And if the Bunnyman and the Take-Apart Toy Woman teamed up on the doll, that would be the end for her kingdom. So right now it seemed as if a standstill was achieved. Everyone knew what to do, but everyone was too unsure of how to achieve it. Jax, meanwhile, was just simply too lazy. And the others too afraid to lose. my liege, I know what to do," said the jester as he skipped up and down through the throne room. "Alright, hit me." "You simply must achieve a permanent alliance with someone. Yes, permanent, and when only you and the ally are left. Your ally goes into your dungeon on their free will, and blammo! Your adventure is over, and so is our existence." The jester had a weird fixation on finishing the adventure quickly, so he could die. Almost like Pomni. But now that Jax was thinking, there was only one character in the digital circus he was kinda fond of, and he felt as if an alliance with would be useful. And that was you, Zipzoom. You had arrived shortly after Pomni, but unlike her, you had an easier time adjusting to the digital circus. According to your own description, I don't remember my life, but somehow this feels better. And well, it did. The body you had spawned in was a jet black female store mannequin. Though looking at yourself in your quarters on the first day revealed that you did have all necessary human parts. Your face was completely featureless, except for your mouth. Interesting enough, you could still see. It was a little blurry though, as if a thin blindfold had been wrapped around your actual eyes. Your hair was a beautiful long blonde wig that was permanently stuck to your head. Your figure was quite slender. Most clothes you wore looking at least 2 sizes too big and loosely hanging off your frame. Movement felt incredibly light to you, like it was an entirely new feeling, which was strange, but you liked it. And Jax enjoyed your company because you were the least annoying character to him. You were laid back, just like him. Though, unlike Jax, you weren't cynical yet. You were a little ball of sunshine, little shy. And he enjoyed that. And how do you propose this alliance should be forged? Asked Jax the Jester, who grinned wildly, his painted-on goatee quivering. A love letter! Jax blinked. Yeah, that's not my style. Plus, he wasn't in love with you. Though, now that the suggestion was on the table, he had to admit he wasn't opposed to the idea. After a moment of silence, Wait, hang on, your jester has an idea, your jester has an idea, shouted the little gremlin. And without asking, he jumped on the armrest of Jax's throne, whispering things into the bunnyman's ears. Things that Jax liked and made him smile. It was late at night. Learning that sleep at the digital circus came down to just lying in bed, awake, with eyes closed, was probably the most difficult thing to accept. Especially since, in this adventure, nights were the full 8 to 9 hours. During which, nothing happened. Heck, you and the other kings and queens didn't even have the option to attack or declare war during the night. You were sitting in front of your bedroom mirror, combing your artificial hair. Over time, the plastic had gotten frizzled. And, well, you couldn't really use an iron for it either, since it was plastic. You were dressed in a white, loosely hanging nightgown. Your bedroom, a beautiful large room with a balcony. A large double bed with red satin. In fact, your entire kingdom had a lot of reds in its clothing and decorations. So you just accepted that you were the red faction. A large rose bush grew on your balcony, and a fireplace was lit, making it nice and warm in your bedroom. Peacefully you sighed. It was actually a pretty beautiful night, minus the fact that it wasn't real. It was then that suddenly from outside you heard something, a quiet rustling. That wasn't the wind. With less caution than you'd be willing to admit to anyone, you stood up and approached the balcony door, opening it to lean over its railing. Your gaze shifting over your courtyard. And then you saw it. A dark lump, vaguely humanoid-shaped, right beneath you. You almost shrieked in fear at the sight of the hooded figure. But you narrowed your gaze suspiciously. They then walked backwards, until you could make out a hole somewhere around their head. Jax? You shouted in utter bewilderment. Immediately he put a finger to his lips. Shush, 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 shush. If your god saw him, he would immediately be seized, and you would get a point. For free. And his kingdom. And that would suck. Can you get me up there somehow? I want to ask you something. Your lips moved downwards into a frown. Is that a no? Because I can, barely make out your mouth. What do you want? This is weird. Okay, Jax may have the confidence of 1,000 lions, but he definitely didn't know how to talk to women. The way he saw it, just by coming all this way here alone and vulnerable would have already been enough to lower your guard, but the swift takedown of Kinger made you weary. I just want to talk. Come on. Privately. Just, under two eyes. The great Jax just wanted to talk. Now that was new. So you sighed, turning around, knotting a few blankets, cloths, and curtains together until a long enough makeshift robe was created. One end you tied to your bed, while the other you threw out the window. Ah, finally, Jax thought proudly as he began climbing onto your balcony. Only to be met with the sight of you holding a crossbow. Ah, come on! You're holding the thing with deadly precision. You aren't shivering at all. Heck, one reason you'd fire. Alright, off into the dungeon with you, you said. And he nodded, not in agreement, but because he was genuinely impressed by you. Yeah, no, not gonna happen. I'm just here to talk, please. He stepped closer. Besides, you can't threaten me with that, you know? We're unkillable in the digital circus. It's just gonna hurt a bit, and I'm gonna run. And I'm gonna make the same proposition to Pomni. You sighed, dropping the crossbow while your other hand reached for a golden bell. Now that would lead to him being arrested. Immediately he jumped towards it, grabbing the golden instrument just as your hand was hovering over it. Ringing it would have called your bodyguards. No reinforcements. Just you and me. Alright, just wanna talk. Crossing your arms, you sat down on your bed. Fine. He stood a few feet away from you with his arms crossed as well. I want you as an ally, he said straight up. Ally? You asked, confused. Is this even possible in the game? But why? Look, I know you want to remain neutral, so I was thinking of annoying Zubalbit. Nothing that should actually be worth to declare war on me, but you know how hot-headed she can be. And where do I come into play? Jack smiled, leaning against your bedpost. Simple. You see her aggression is unnecessary and declare war on her as well. Then we both take her down, share her territory. You nodded. I mean, I can see how this would work and advance the adventure, but why me? Why not Pomni? Why not Ragatha? Jax shivered slightly at the thought of asking the Raggedy Doll. But now was the time to strike. He smirked. Well, he needed to crank up the charm to 100% for this. So confidently he swiped a hand over his ears before leaning closer to you. 'Cause I like you. Wait, what? He put a finger under her chin, forcing your gaze up a little until he felt as if you were looking right into his eyes, though he overshot it by just a centimeter. Not like you could blame him, since your face was smooth, minus your mouth. I said I like you, he hushed, winking. And I'm pretty sure you like me too. I mean, who wouldn't? You inhaled through your mouth. Like me? You whispered quietly, but Then you pulled away, your heart beating faster. You just want to win this adventure, I know you. Why were you feeling so dizzy? Why were you actually considering this offer? He then sat down next to you, so close you could feel the warmth of his body. You know it's more than that, right? Suddenly Jax placed a hand on your shoulder. With a mild tug, you turned to face him again, with zero resistance, allowing him to place his other hand on your other shoulder. I have liked you for a long time. Though that was a lie, he had to admit, he liked you as a friend. But still, this was necessary for the adventure. You're the only one who isn't constantly morally grandstanding me. You were surprised he even knew what moral grandstanding meant. When this adventure is over, I'd like to pursue you more. At least until someone finds a way out. And besides, anything to not abstract. And silently added, plus, you look the most human here. By now he spoke in mere seductive whispers. Anything to not abstract. You hushed. Jax pushed you a little, and you didn't resist. And suddenly he was on top of you, his lips immediately devouring yours, hungrily, passionately, lovingly. There was no romance in this, just passion and need. After a moment of wet, slobbering noises, he stopped, pulling his head up. Sorry about that, but he was surprised himself. Your skin was just so soft, and it tasted strangely sweet. It wasn't anything like that pre-generated digital food that only had a hint of tasting like the stuff it depicted, that was usually served in the digital circus. This was a genuinely full taste. But you yourself had become needy too, your fingers having deeply dug into his hips, your body shaking. His own lips too had a taste, a distinct carroty taste that was far beyond anything you had tasted in the digital circus yourself. For a moment, a beautiful moment, you looked at each other's faces. I have to ask, was this good for you, as it was for me? Because this was great. If by good you mean you want more, then yes, I would like more. Your hearts were rhythmically pounding, his expression becoming smug. What? If this ends like Romeo and Juliet, I'm going to kill someone. Oh my god, stop joking already and beep me already! Hey, thank you for watching my video until the very end. I'm very glad you enjoyed it so far. But before I say goodbye, I would like to shout out all of my lovely high-tier channel members. Twilight, Zoe, Angel, Angry Boxman, Chusta Misery, Hella, BitBit, Melofia, Anonymous Weep, Sleepy Town, Zachary, Nicodemus D, Ash Wisdom, Ikea, The Tribute, and AJ Anime Girl. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of my other channel members. You're all wonderful little mates. Thank you for watching. Bye.